love a cheesy intro. It makes me so excited. So, welcome back, everyone, to my fan series. You're a regular here at this point, so I will still have you introduce yourself. There'll be some people who don't know you from my new subscribers and things like that. But for those of you that don't know, this is my 32 fan series that I do in the off season. The draft has happened. The free agency has happened. So we are about to enter rookie mini camp. So that is currently where we're at. 32 different fans, 30 different teams. At this point, you are my resident Bills fan. So there's that. And so I have spoken with you on every time that I've done this. You were the first person I talked to the very first time. You were my very first yes. And you are still dropping me great information to help me as I continue my journey. So thank you for that. Thank you for being here. And
You're
then
welcome.
I will level set and then I'll turn it over to you. Level setting is this is being recorded at the draft just ended. So if anything crazy happens as far as pickups and things like that, we will not talk about it here. Injuries, God forbid, anything crazy, we're not going to talk about it. We're here just to talk about last season, your fandom, new season, draft, free agency, just so everybody knows. So I will be quiet. And if you want to introduce yourself for those people that don't know you, and then we will get started with all the fun things. And I'm super excited.
I'm Tommy from Mafia Sports Report. Been doing this since 2020. I do this with my co-host Mikey, who we met in 2021, I believe. We started in 2022 working together, but primarily it's been me and Mikey, and the channel's continuing to grow, and I love it. There's a million Buffalo Bills channels now. It's crazy how the YouTube has grown with Buffalo Bills content since 2020. When I got started in 2020, it was like 100, maybe less. One of them 100, probably like 30, 40, maybe. And now there's hundreds. It's crazy how many Buffalo Bills podcasts are. Yeah, it's wild. But it's been a fun ride. It's been a roller coaster of emotions. Being just a Bills fan in general, but being a podcaster of a football team or any team is such a roller coaster of emotions because you got to come and talk about it, right? And you're in front of everybody, and it's like live, raw emotion. Sometimes, especially when it's live, and we go live a lot, a lot of the time it's instant reaction. Sometimes we're so caught up in the emotions that maybe sometimes we overdo it, or and that's why we wind up doing more than one show, because it's always best to, when the dust settles, go back, do another show the following day or a couple of days later, and then maybe there's something you missed in the game or whatever.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so that's pretty much it. I've been a fan since 1989. Like I said, ups and downs, Super Bowls, losses, to drought years, to where we're at now, which is still trying to get to a Super Bowl. We're knocking at the door, but it's just not. No one's letting us in, and it's our own fault. It's our own. Yeah. It's our own doing. It just sucks because it's like standing in a line waiting to get into an event, and there's only a certain amount of people that can get in, and you're like right there next. You're next to get in, and the guy comes out and says, "That's it for the day." So it's like,
sorry, that's brutal. Not a first down.
It's a brutal. Yeah, that was brutal, by the way. Yeah, the refs, of course, in that game. They said they got it wrong. By the way, they changed things. Of course, second time they did that for us. But
yeah, I know. That's what Anyways, it is what it is. So my first question of the day is going to probably be one of my favorites. Is your initial thoughts on your team's performance last season, and what song do you think best represents your team's season last year, and why? Why'd you pick the song?
Okay. So I'll go with Red Red Wine, UB40. Because, listen, it's how it goes, right? Right. You got your heartbreak and loss, right? And then you need to go drinking, right? You need to get some red wine to reflect on of what you just went through, basically. Just drink your sorrows away, right? Pretty much, right? So that's the song I chose. It was tough. It was tough. And I'm like, you know what? That's a pretty good song, right?
That is a perfect song.
What can I do, right? Like this is shit. I need to drink it away, drink my sorrows away. And
so how long does it take you? Like after the loss, how long did it kind of take you to be like, oh my gosh?
It's gotten better, to be honest with you, each season. Like, because you, as a Bills fan, you have tough skin. You eventually just kind of like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I think the 13 seconds still was the toughest for me. Wide right, obviously, but I was so young in wide right. I just was starting to like get into Bills fandom, or I was really, and it hurt. Don't get me wrong, but I think that was only my second season watching the Bills. So I started in '89. They lost in the playoffs, and then 1990 wide right to the Giants. After that, obviously, like they hurt the Super Bowls, but even back then, I knew the teams we were going against were better for some reason. Like I knew the Cowboys were, it was going to be tough, right? Like we weren't favored. We were the only Super Bowl we were favored was against the Giants. We should have won that. But the 13 seconds was brutal. Like that one will forever, I think, haunt Bills Mafia. Like that one it shouldn't have happened, and it did, and we lost. We lost on top of it. So like,
the 13 seconds was like a gut punch. That was like
it hurt.
Yeah,
it hurt.
It was like
it hurt.
Yeah.
And it was the one year I felt like we had, like everything was going right. Like if we get past them, I mean, once again, we still got to go through the Bengals to get to the Super Bowl. But if we beat the Chiefs at that point, I believe we do go to the Super Bowl. We had a really good chance. But it is what it is. But just like I said, you kind of get tough skin going each year. It's like it's almost expected. I hate to say it, but last year. Listen, I mean, the truth is the truth. They had a lot of people counting us out before the season even started, right? We lost Stephon Diggs. I didn't. I said to everybody.
You were the one person. Yeah.
I was one of the few. I'm like, look, as long as you got, a franchise top 3 quarterback and Josh Allen, I don't matter really. I know you still need weapons. I get that. But the way his growth is gone, if you look at Tom Brady, he didn't need much. Josh Allen's the same way. He can kind of create his own. And I also have faith in players like Khalil Shakir, who I said was going to have a good season. He did. He got an extension. I did think Dalton Kincaid would step up. He didn't. He actually took a step backwards, which it is what it is. But overall, we were second in scoring. I mean, for a team that was supposed to be terrible on offense, we lost Stephon Diggs, can't do anything right. We're losing everybody. All the leaders are going, all the captains. Yeah. And nobody realized all the captains like Jordan Poyer, Mike they're all beat up. They're all done. We used them the best, we got the best out of them. And if you saw what Jordan Poyer did, he didn't do anything this year with the Dolphins. If you saw what Micah Hyde did, he came back and didn't even play for us.
And didn't he retire? Did he retire?
He retired, but then he came back more as he was never going to play. It was more just coaching up the young corners. So he did come back, but he didn't play. But he did officially retire after the season. But yeah, I believed in this team, and I also believed in the AFC East was just not on our level. And I knew the Jets are the Jets, and I knew the Dolphins are a hot mess. And then of course the Patriots are rebuilding. So I knew we would still win the East. I knew we would get in the playoffs. It's just what we would do in the playoffs was my question mark. And I thought we went in there rolling. I thought we were winning there pretty hot, but I said going into the playoffs, the only way this team gets to the Super Bowl is that the offense has to be perfect, because I didn't trust the defense. The defense was about 22nd ranked. The only thing about the defense, which even got them in the middle there kind of, was the takeaways. I think they were second in takeaways and led the league in differential. But outside that, our defense wasn't very good last year, and it really hasn't been. It's been our letdown, and it showed in the playoffs. Each team we played scored an opening touchdown in each possession on their first possession, which was
really
not good. Yeah,
interesting.
So if you go back to the first game, it was an opening touchdown right away, Denver, and then Baltimore opening touch right away, their opening touchdown, and then against the Chiefs. Yeah, so. It was just like we just could not get stops on defense, and unfortunately against the Chiefs, we didn't play perfect football. See, we played really, really good perfect football in Denver, pretty much, perfect football in Baltimore, pretty much. And you saw what happened when we were the offense was kind of slowing down a little bit in the second half, and the defense could just not stop Baltimore. Baltimore, it came down to a failed 2-point conversion. So it was super close, right, of us even winning that game. And then you go to the Chiefs game, and it's just like the offense it wasn't perfect, and the defense couldn't get it stopped, and that's the game. I mean, but that's the story of the Buffalo Bills. So, yeah. So it wasn't. I guess that's another reason why I wasn't super like too upset, because I knew we had to play perfect ball. And even if we get to the Super Bowl, I got to be honest with you, I think Philadelphia would have scored 50 on us. You know what I mean?
They were the best team. Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
And sometimes, it's funny, when a season's over, it's so easy to go back and go, well, yeah, of course. Like, it was always them. But it's like when you're in the season, it's harder to do that. But at the end of it, I was like, yeah, of course they won. They had the best defensive front. They had the best, they had a lot
going for them. Best running back, and I knew the Chiefs had to pick their poison, right? You had either go all out and stop Saquon and leave it up to Hurts, which they did. They did a good job against Barkley, but then now it's pick your poison, and then Hurts made him pay. He really made him pay, and he played a good game. And the defense of the Eagles was a story. That's how you do it against the Chiefs. Got to get after Mahomes. You got to get after Mahomes. If you give him time, he's going to carve you up.
So, having said that, how do you feel like your team has made moves in this offseason to kind of contend with that? Because at this point, that's the Bills. That's it, right? That's the whole game. It's like, great, we can do all this stuff, but are we built to beat the Kansas City Chiefs? That is
right.
So how are you feeling? Like, what did they do in the offseason? How was free agency for you all? Do you feel like that they did a couple things? Obviously, I always tell people, I always pull up this stuff, but everybody always gives me such good information that I never even look at what I pull up. So I would love to know what you think about some of your free agent moves.
Okay. So, I mean, listen, we got rid of some guys left in free agency. Matt Collins went to the Patriots. I thought Matt Collins was, I'll be honest with you, last year I didn't think much of Matt Collins going into the season. I was like, special teams guy, but he really was a good teammate, good player. He made some good plays for us here and there on offense. But we picked up Joshua Palmer from the Chargers, who's a really good route runner, much better receiver. Let's be real. Matt Collins is more of a special teams guy, and he can help out on offense here and there. But Palmer's a better route runner. He's more of a receiver. So I was glad with that addition. I wasn't over ecstatic. We didn't have a lot to work with money-wise. So it wasn't like we were going to go out there and just start, paying all these guys. Now, there's some the things I did really, really like outside of that was we re-signed Khalil Shakir. Well worth it. Great deal. 4 years. He'll be back. Gregory Rousseau got his deal, right? He's back. We released Von Miller. We saved money. Unfortunately, we didn't get the best out of Von because he got hurt. I mean, that's the truth of the matter. If he doesn't get hurt, who knows? He had a good first year until he got hurt. Yeah, but released him, and then that helped us sign Gregory Rousseau. DeMar Hamlin returned for 1 year, which is whatever. Dane Jackson came back. Trey White came back for 1 year, which is just depth. Good to have. We also re-signed or gave an extension to Terrell Bernard, Christian Benford, who's a really good corner. So we did a lot of good things about, as far as bringing players back or extending players, that is. Josh Allen obviously got paid. Which is paid. Which is worth it. I mean, he's a MVP of the league. He's every. You take Josh Allen off his team, we're a 4-win team, right? We're good.
I don't know if you saw my tweet, but I tweeted. I was like, man, if the Steelers had Josh Allen, we might be in business.
Anyone, I'll be honest with you, most teams, doesn't matter what you're. That's what they bring. That's why these top, any in that tier, that top 3 tier. Can make any team better instantly. It doesn't matter who you have. Now, of course, you want to surround him with, pieces, but doesn't matter. Even if you don't have a lot of pieces, they'll make it work and get you at least into the playoffs. So we did, like I said, did a lot of extensions. The one we didn't get done was James Cook, who I'm sure everybody knows is Yeah, not happy about it, but it is what it is. He's on his rookie deal. He has to play his rookie contract out, which is this year. They could give him a 5th-year option, which I don't think they would do. I think they would probably let him walk to free agency. His brother's texting or messaging $20 million now, which will make him the highest paid ever. It's not going to happen. Look, I like James Cook. I do, and a lot of people think I hate James Cook. I don't. I think he's a good running back, but I don't think he's a great running back. I don't think he's a top 5 running back, and I don't think he's worth top 5 running back money. That's one. Two, I'm not on board with paying running backs unless you are a freak running back, which will make. I'm talking McCaffrey. Even McCaffrey's injured a lot, but Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry. Yeah, the thing is, man, when these players, and that's why GMs, if you look at the NFL. Around the league, when these running backs get past year 4, they start to diminish. It's proven. The stats are there. There's a lot of sites that show you these numbers, and that's why a lot of GMs have a tough time paying these running backs or extending them for long-term deals. They don't mind a couple years, but you can get running backs through the draft. And I know it's a shitty thing to say, but it's just the truth. They unfortunately, running backs, they don't last long in the NFL, at least their production. So. If it was me, look, I would extend James Cook, 2-3 years, 9 to 12,
Yeah.
He wants 15 initially. Now you can get him on an incentive base. You can get him, 12 up to 15. Now I would be fine with that. If he can match 20 touchdowns or 18, whatever he had last year, fine. But the year before, he only had 8 total, 4 on the ground, 4 on the receiving. So, can he match that again? That's tough to match. So,
yeah.
I just think right now he's overvaluing himself. They did have discussions, but those ended. And Brandon Bean pretty much paid everybody else, and there is no more money to go around. So, he's just going to have to play his deal.
When will the Bills get out from under? Because I know last year,
Diggs.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, they're done. Yeah. They ate it this year.
Okay. So then when will they I haven't looked at like the structure of the contracts or anything like that. Are they at the end of the offseason next season, will they have more money to spend?
Yeah, we'll have some money like next season. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So we'll be all right next season. I mean, I don't know about like it's a lot, but we'll definitely have way more than we had going into this offseason, including including the season before. So
yeah, because I know the season before was kind of rough. It was like everybody almost must go in a weird way.
Yeah. I mean, you have to. Look, Trey White, and now Trey White's back. I mean, you have to do. It's business. It is a business. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the NFL is a business, and there's a salary cap. This isn't baseball, right? This isn't the MLB where there's no salary cap. If there's no salary cap, then okay, then I would be like, yo, owner, go out there and spend whatever the hell you want, right? Yeah, but that's not the way the NFL. Yeah, it's not the way it works, right? You have a cap, and you can go over it, but then you're going to be you better win a Super Bowl, right? Like,
okay, awesome. Well, tell me about how do you feel like the draft went? Do you have a favorite? Who's your favorite draft pick? Like, who are you the most excited to go? You know what? We needed that. We needed that position. I'm okay with it. Like, was there anybody that made you like really happy? And then the opposite. Who did you pick where you were kind of like, oh man?
I didn't hate anybody, right, in the draft. Okay, so that's one. But I also I wasn't like in love with them either, right? So, so here's what I got, right? So we got Maxwell Harrison first round 30, right? Good corner, fastest player coming out of the draft. There's things I like about all these guys, and there's things that I don't like, right? So Harrison, once again, real fast, which is something we needed. We needed speed at the quarter position to guard, the Hills of the world, right? The Worthies of the world, the burners, right? And he is a burner, Maxwell Harrison. He ran like a 4.3, 4.28, something like that.
Okay.
Super fast, fastest player in the draft. So I like that. I do. Long arms. I like that as well. Gets even if he's, is off the ball, he still can get back in on the play and make a play on the ball. Love it. But what I don't like, poor tackling, undersized. Like he's pushing 6 foot, right? 100 think 85. Like, so he's a little undersized. Now they can get him up a little bit weight, which I'm sure they will. But he has to work on his tackling. That's one thing. He's poor tackler. So that I don't like. The other guy we got, TJ Sanders, we moved up 15 spots. We needed a true 1 tech. They went out and got a 3 tech. But what I like about Sanders, he's explosive. He's explosive off the line, quick, good hands, strong. But once again, we needed a true 1 tech next to Ed Oliver, not a 3 tech. So curious what they do there. By the way, he is the nephew of Deion Sanders. So he's Deion Sanders' sister's son. So I didn't even know that until after the draft. So that's pretty cool there.
That is cool.
Yeah, and then third round we got Landon Jackson, who's a freak. He's an edge rusher.
He did well in the combine, I think.
Yeah, from Arkansas. Absolute freak of an athlete. But once again, it's just one of those things. It's like he's new to the position. I think he's only done a year in college. So we'll see what happens when he brings to the table. But he does have a high ceiling. I do like it. Next up, Deion Walker, who's a big boy. He's a 1 tech, 6'7", 340 pounds. He's a huge, but they say like he's top heavy. So lower body, he needs to get some work there. Put some work in. So we'll see what happens with him at the 1 tech position if he can beat out the guys we got now, which would be Daquan Jones and Carter. I don't know if he will. We'll find out. Then we got Hancock, which is another DB out of Ohio State. Jackson Hayes, which is tight end, which is just going to be, Jackson Hawes, which is going to be a 3rd tight end. No, nothing there. I do like Dorian Strong as well from cornerback. We got him in the 6th round. Chase Lunt is a tackle, short arms, but really, really strong. Could be something there. And then our last pick was a receiver who will probably not make the team, Caden Prather, or practice squad. So overall, I would say C+, B-. Now there are some grades around. They're given A, anywhere from an A, I saw, to a B-. So most people don't agree with me when I say C+, B-. Most people have it as a B to an A, but that's okay. Like I said, look, I always tell people in the draft, like when we do these live things, just like I said, when we do like live, when we do a live instant reaction to a loss or a win, we're hyped up and we're emotions are rolling. So when we do these drafts, and we did them live all 3 days, you kind of you're set on players that you think the Bills should draft or what the Bills should do. Yeah. And of course, most of the time we don't get it right. And there's disappointment, right? And we're like, oh, why this? But I'll be honest with you, like a lot of times we don't know. Like honestly, you have no idea. Neither is really, even the GMs are kind of hoping, right? It's a roll of the dice on a lot of these guys. You don't know until camp. You don't know until preseason really what these guys are about, if they're going to bring what they brought from college to the NFL, right? So there could be a 6th round pick. Like I said, the guy, the 7th round, I just told you, he probably won't even make the team. How do I know? Maybe the guy winds up being a stud in camp. I don't know, right? So, it's up to these players to put the work in. If you really want to go back in time, Kyer Elam, we drafted 1st round. Same draft, we drafted Christian Benford, who was in the 6th round. And Christian Benford just got paid, and he's our best corner. Kyer Elam got traded. So you never know.
You never know. That's the thing I always have to tell myself is like, oh, I don't like it. Oh, I'm so frustrated. And then I'm like, but I really don't know. I just wanted somebody else, but I could also be wrong.
You were sold. Yeah, exactly. So I
didn't want that defensive tackle. I wanted this one, and it's like,
right. And you get caught up in the emotion of it, and but like I would, the thing I do though after each draft or day one, I'll go look at the players, I'll look at the film, and I'll be like, okay, you know what, this is what I like about them. This is what I don't like. You know what, maybe okay, maybe there's something there. So then I reevaluate everything, and then I'll grade it by that. But the thing I didn't like, I guess the main part of that whole draft was trading up 15 spots to get a 3 tech when we needed a 1 tech, which didn't really make sense. Collins was there, who I thought would have been a better addition. But once again, listen, I'm not a GM. I'm not a scout. Yeah. So they see things. I have no idea. So so they see something different. or they have different plans for these players. So you just got to go. You got to roll with it. There's not much you could do. You got to just wait till the season starts and see if it was the right decision. That's it.
I agree. That's it. So having said all of that, I mean, I think I probably know the answer to your next question. Do you think the Bills are contenders? Do you think they're rebuilding? Where do you think they are currently?
Yeah, no rebuilding. This team's still very good. Like, let's be real. This team's still, I said it. I did a video after the playoff loss, and I'm like, look, breaking news: the Bills are going to win the AFC East for the 6th straight time. I mean, like next year. There's like no. Let's be real here. The AFC East, the rest of the East is still.
Yeah,
they got a lot to work. Got a lot of work to do.
Yeah,
right? They're still. Yeah. So I don't want to hear anyone going into this season pick the Jets or the Dolphins to win it or the Patriots. Stop it already. Yeah. Like the Bills are the best team in the East. We got the best quarterback in the East by far. Let's not play games here. We're still the same team with new additions. Let's like who do we really lose, right? Matt Collins, Von Miller, who didn't do anything. You know what I mean? Like we gain. If anything, we gained some players. So it's the same team with a few additions. So yeah, this is still a playoff team. Is it a Super Bowl contending team? That I don't know. I can't tell you that until I see this team. At least midway through the season.
That's fair.
To kind of be like, okay, you know what? I can see it. They're doing things right because the everybody eats thing worked last year. Will it work this year? Is the question, right?
Yeah, and I think we play you all. I think you guys play the AFC North this year. So I don't usually. I think.
Yeah, who's your squad again?
It's the Steelers.
The Steelers. Yeah. So let's see here. So the Buffalo Bills schedule.
Because I think we're on.
I know it drops as far as the dates go, but the schedule.
Yeah, I think we are on. I think we're AFC East and NFC North. I think is what our schedule is this year.
Let me see here. So so we got. So at home we play the Ravens, the Bengals, the Chiefs. We got a rough schedule, by the way. So Ravens, Bengals, Chiefs, Dolphins, Patriots, Saints, Jets, Eagles, and we do play you away. We play you away. So Falcons, Panthers, Browns, Texans, Dolphins, Patriots, Jets, Steelers. So we got some tough ones in there. We got we have to think about it. We got both of the Super Bowl teams and the Eagles and the Chiefs. All right, so
our last 4 games was Chiefs, Eagles, Ravens, Bengals. Yeah, and I'm just like, really?
It will. I'm very interested to see the schedule of the dates, which is going to be in May. Yeah, so it'll be interesting.
Okay, cool. So, who do you think your most overrated player is? Overrated, underrated? Who is somebody on your team or a position group that you feel like is just overlooked, that really carries the load? And
you mean underrated things?
Underrated. Oh, okay. That you're like, this position group is actually pretty good. We just hardly ever talk about them, but them being solid really helps us.
A group or a player?
Either one. You can choose.
I think the offensive line is a little underrated, though I think it's starting now to maybe get a little bit of talk. But they're finally starting to build a good offensive line. Spencer Brown is man, he's coming around. He was not liked by Bills Mafia for a couple years. They thought he was going to be, he was a bum, a bad pick because he had a little back thing going on. But once he got that cleared up and got to work with our offensive line coach, Cromer is one of the better ones out there. You've seen it now the last 2 seasons. That's why he got his contract extension. The dude is really good. Deion Dawkins,
name?
Connor McGovern. So he took over Mitch Morse. But we got a guy named SVP
last year, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. He was one of the captains, and he just retired, by the way. So
got it. Okay, that's what I was thinking of. Okay. I was
exactly. So once again, it was one of those players that we had to move on from getting older, and I knew that was coming. McGovern's done a good job, but we have his backup that we drafted last year, Van Pran, we're doing it the right way. We're letting him sit behind, work with Cromer, and then when McGovern's contract's done, then he steps in. David Edwards is our weakest link. He's at guard. But he's still not bad. Deion Dawkins obviously really good, and then Osiris Torrance. Osiris Torrance is only getting better. I don't even think he gave up a sack last year. I could be wrong, but the dude is a beast. The dude is an absolute beast.
I'm noticing a trend with good teams. Anytime you ask a good team, like what is their probably undervalued group, they usually say either their offensive line or their defensive line. And it's kind of funny. Yeah. Again, I know why, obviously it's like the foundations of football, but it's just funny how sometimes we all know it to be true, but we still sometimes can forget about it.
Yeah.
Like just basic things.
I would love to say our defensive line, but it still has a lot of work to do. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
What is a hot take that you have about the Buffalo Bills that the rest of the fan base might not agree with you about?
The hot take is we don't really need James Cook to be a good team. Listen, I'm not saying get rid of him. I like him once again, but I don't think he's, the best running back out there. I feel like a lot of people think if we get rid of James Cook, our offense is gonna, be this bad offense or we're not gonna have a running back to fill his shoes. We have Ray Davis, who's really good, who filled in for him last year on a couple games, who had really good games. Ty Johnson is a really good running back too, for a third down running back, or a third running back. And I feel like once again, you can go through the draft and get a running back. Look, James Cook has speed. He does, and I love it. And he has a home run talent, but he only sees less than 50% snaps. He's not a third down back. You can't pay that kind of money for that kind of player. He's not a well-rounded running back. He's a good running back who has some good traits, but he's poor pass protector. He's had some drop passes for touchdowns over the last 2 seasons that I don't like. And once again, a lot of people don't understand this. The offensive line has a lot to do with James Cook over the last 2 seasons. Prior to that, our offensive line was a mess. And that's why we really didn't run the ball a lot. And that's why, like Devin Singletary, who still had 875 and 850 1 year, wasn't terrible. So if you got that production by the way, the same amount as carries, and Devin Singletary, who's not as good as James Cook, and I'm not saying that, but James Cook only rushed for a little over 1,000. We're not talking much of a difference between that and Singletary with a bad offensive line. Now, of course, he had the 18 or 20 touchdowns, which is great. Can he match that is the question. That's one. I don't know. We'll see. But take the touchdowns away, or even in half. It's an okay season. And if you go and look at the running backs stats, he was like 20th. He didn't have that stellar of a season where I think the Buffalo Bills, if they somehow lose him, would just all of a sudden fall apart on the offensive side of the ball. So I think we can still win without James Cook. Matter of fact, we've gone to an AFC Championship game without James Cook. So it's not he hasn't done anything that's making this offense so much better that, God forbid, if we lose James Cook, we're doomed. Like, there's only one player. There's only one player on this team right now that you cannot afford to lose, and that's Josh Allen. That's it. Everybody else is replaceable. And that's the truth. Everybody is replaceable. And the one thing that we don't have on this team that we're still waiting for is like a playmaker on the other side of the ball, on the defensive side, like a true, like a Josh Allen on the other side of the ball. Right. Like, we don't have a game wrecker. We have a game wrecker in offense. And like, if the Chiefs, if you look at them, Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones is their other guy. Yeah. So the Eagles, same thing. They got playmakers on. We got good players, but we don't have that. We don't have that beast on the other side. So that's what we're still looking for, searching for. And, hopefully we'll get it one day.
Well, okay. So if you were GM for one day, what would be the very first move you would make then?
Go after Trey Henderson. I call Cincinnati. He wants out. We need, they're always talking about getting to the quarterback. They're always talking about like I said, a guy that can, a difference maker on defense. I think he can get that deal done. I'd offer him a couple play. I offer him AJ Epinesa. I'd offer him James Cook. You want James Cook? We'll do a player swap. You'll get him on his rookie deal, and you can decide if you want to sign him or not. So, but 100%, I would be all in on Trey Henderson if they're willing to work with us. And then you just got to obviously figure out the contract because he wants to get paid. But that's
Right.
you could still, that's something GMs are good to do. They know how to kind of extend it out where it makes sense. So that would be my one move, because that's the only player out there that I know of that's a high profile player that wants out currently. And I could see
does he
him being a
want
great
out,
fit.
or is he wanting a deal?
I think he wants out too, but who knows? So did the guy from Garrett, and he wanted to take money talks, right? So
he's like, I want to win. Okay, 40 million, sure.
Yeah, sure, not a problem. I love
and
this
honestly,
team.
let me just be honest. I'm not mad at him one bit. I would also sign on down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So the next kind of series of questions, the last 4 questions I have is like what I'm calling like my overtime questions. And I have 4 of them because, 4 downs overtime. So I would like to know which division rival do you love to hate the most and why?
The Dolphins.
Okay.
I hate the Dolphins because I grew up in South Florida. So I had my family's all Dolphin fans, and that's understandable. It's you live in South Florida, but I just never. It was a bitter rivalry growing up. I mean, it was big. It was great. Like those rivalries are great. Like when they last, like they're fun. Like Michigan, Ohio State will always be it, right? That will never go away. But unfortunately, it went away because we were both bad teams in those drought years, in the drought years, and so kind of. When 2 teams stink, who cares? But in the 90s, they hated us. We hated them. It was bad. I mean, it was really, really bad, but it was awesome.
Yeah.
And being a Bills fan, I just grew to hate them, and that was fine. So I just never liked the Dolphins, and I stick with it.
Okay. If you could change one thing about your franchise, what would it be? So location, ownership, stadiums, uniforms, you name it. If you could change one thing about them, what would it be?
Our head coach.
What's so funny? And since the second I've been talking to you in the very first video that we have, you were talking about him then.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Not the biggest fan. I think, listen, and that's another thing. Like it's Bills Mafia is very torn on certain conversations when it comes to this team, right? So Sean McDermott's one of those, right? So you either love him, you're the one side that loves him or hates him. And I don't know if I hate him. I think he's a good coach. I think he took, I give him credit for what he's done so far for this team, but I just feel like he's one of those coaches, and it happens in a lot of sports. They can't get over that hump, right? Or that wall, right? They keep hitting the wall. And I feel like he's one of them. And then the other thing that people just don't realize, and people don't talk about as much, is he's a defensive-minded head coach, and that's fine. But we're going to year 9, and we're having defensive problems still. Yeah. Still, I mean, this isn't new. This isn't like, we just lost a bunch of players, and now I'd be like, I give that excuse. Okay, guys left for re-inch. That hasn't been the problem. The problem's been the defense for a long time. Yeah, and there's been some good players that come through. He's done some good job in certain guys that he brung here. Poyer, Hyde, when they first came in 2017, they were great for us. But we've never been this dynamic defense. Never. We've been a good defense at times. There were some years we were good, but outside of that, we've always had a defensive line problem. And not only that, they've always, for the most part, let us down in the playoffs. There's only been a couple games where I felt like it was a total team loss. Outside of that, the defense has totally failed us. And people could be upset at me as much as they want, but that's a McDermott thing. You have a head coach who's a defensive-minded head coach. You can't continue to go through this. And at 13 seconds, he's a head coach. Should never ever allow. How does that even happen, right? You're not on the same page with your special teams coordinator, so you don't know. Like it was all mixed up from the beginning. You don't know if you want to kick it out of bounds or kick it short. They kick it out of bounds. It doesn't take any time off the clock. There's your first mistake. And then 13, and then you're given this huge amount of space. Like I can go on and on and on about the mistakes that he's done. I mean, just this past season, he lets Aaron Rodgers. He sends 2 players on knowing Aaron Rodgers has the arm. Knowing he's done this millions of times, Hail Marys, and he just gives them all the time in the world. It made no sense.
What's the worst that can happen?
But that's just one example. He's just, but like I said, time after time, and I like him. I think he has gotten better as a head coach. He's grown. He's gotten over some of his mistakes, but I still think it's just like, man, how long? When is enough? Like, when do you eventually move on? And I keep telling people, even if you move, and people are so scared, oh, move on and get drought years. You're not going to have drought years. You have Josh Allen. Doesn't matter. You can bring another, let's say you bring another coach in. I promise you, the team will get in the playoffs. Now, will they get further in the playoffs? That I don't know. But I promise you they would get in the play. I guarantee you, we could have Rex Ryan come back right now, take over. I promise you.
Ooh.
This will be a play. I promise you. Of course.
Yeah.
Listen, Rex, I always talk to people.
It's not about
Rex
the coach,
Ryan,
though. It's about Josh Allen. Yeah.
Well, not only that, but if you go look at Rex Ryan, people will think, oh, he's so terrible. Rex Ryan got to the same amount as AFC Championship as Sean McDermott with Mark Sanchez. Okay,
I like Rex Ryan.
So,
I don't know why people think what they think about him.
Because he's the loudmouth, and sometimes
I don't mind that though.
I don't mind it, but you got to kind of stick. You got to back it, right? And I feel like when he came here, that was the only thing is that he didn't back his which is whatever. Like, but once again, like I said, I don't think McDermott is the reason why this team gets to the playoffs year after year. It's Josh Allen, and if you look at all the free agents that come to Buffalo, they all say, I came to play with Josh Allen. They don't say, oh man, I love the coaching. Really I came to, Coach McDermott, great guy. Can't wait to play for that. They never say that. The only time you ever see that, you never hear that. They always say Josh Allen's the reason why. Josh Allen's the reason why. Love Josh. They never bring up like, oh, I can't wait to get into that McDermott defense. The only time he's ever acknowledged is on draft day, and it's because they're rookies. They don't get it. They're new. They don't know that yet. But the truth of the matter is, like, it's just the truth. Go look at it.
I love that.
Go look at all around the league, right? The best top coaches. Can't wait to play for McVay and his offense. Can't wait for Mike Tomlin. They all got something. Yeah. All of them. Harbaugh. Can't wait. Harbaugh, mastermind. Blah 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 blah. This guy. Our coach. No, you don't. Nobody mentions him. Nobody. It's all Josh. Can't wait to play for Josh Allen. Yeah. Even if we're on defense. So
then I have an interesting question then for you. The next one. If you could swap one player from your rival and put them on your team, who would it be and why?
Derrick Henry.
That's a great answer.
I wanted him in the offseason. Yeah, I wanted him in the offseason so bad. Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, Baltimore got him on a steal. Yeah. They got him on a steal. I think it was like $8 million. Oh, so cheap. It was like $8 million, I think, for the season. Like, you telling me, like, come on, man. All these people talking about he's washed up. I'm like, are you insane? Like, have you seen what this guy has done?
Great answer,
dude. Can you imagine having him,
Derrick Henry, and Josh
you don't have to. Yeah. Oh my God. You want the RPOs?
It would be very similar though to what Hurts is able to do with Saquon. About the respect? You would have to figure out what you're going to do. And that's a really good answer. It's another thing. I don't feel like teams fear James Cook. I think they respect him. I think they respect his speed. But come on, man. I'm telling you, going into games, I'm not saying they don't game plan for him, but they're not frightened by James Cook, right? Yeah. When you go against Derrick Henry, you're like, this motherfucker, he's about to, like, how are we going to plan for this dude, right? And then their quarterback, Lamar, like, that's the truth. I think we can all agree too that like when anybody even during the championship game, like give the ball to Derrick Henry. Nobody wants to tackle him. It's too cold.
Not only that, even if he doesn't get many yards, let's say all he's doing is breaking that defensive line down. And linebackers.
That's so hard for these coaches. Oh my God.
I don't know.
Anyways,
but that's not James Cook thing then. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So my last question is, if you could describe your fan base in 3 words, what would it be?
I would 3 words.
I'm going to give you some filler here. The one thing I love about talking to you is that we talk offline, and like you're like the easiest person to like reach out to, talk to, connect with, whatever. Yeah. So anytime I ask you something and it takes you like even 10 seconds, I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to see like what he's gonna say. So, anyways, Tommy, I'm just telling, and I appreciate that, by the way. So it's nice anytime you kind of go, in a second, let me think.
Loyal, wild, and caring.
Ooh,
I would say that. So
loyal,
we're very
caring.
yeah. Because if you ever notice, like with us, like the loyal part, man, we're loyal to our team. Like that's one thing about Bills Mafia. It's a really good fan base. We don't jump ship. Like we very loyal. It doesn't matter ups and downs. Like we could be unhappy as all hell with anything. The coach, we're still gonna be right back on the couch, watch the Sunday football, right? As far as caring goes, man, like we do a lot of charity work. We do if another a ton. Like if another player, has a bad game,
always raising money for.
We're always donating. Yeah, always. So
Mark Andrews, didn't you guys donate to like Mark Andrews?
All of them, yeah. Mark, I'm telling you, Andrew, we've done it all. So we've done it all, and we just been. It's been a fun ride. Been a fun ride,
and y'all are definitely wild too. I'll give you like that. Is 100% accurate.
Yeah, yeah. We are look. That's one thing. Like tailgating and getting like we ain't nothing like a Bills Mafia tailgate. We are wild. But I would say wild to the point. I don't think like if another I haven't heard many stories.
Wild like Browns fans.
Like if another fan base comes to Bills, Bills Mafia tailgate, we're not gonna there's gonna be a lot of fights. You know what I mean? Like we welcome other fans. We're pretty friendly. I'll be honest with you. Like there's not a lot. You go to like Miami and stuff, there's problems. There's fighting.
There's any fan base that has a section in their stadium that is designated are usually where you get the crazy fans. So like in Cleveland, you have the dog pound. For the Raiders, you have, what is it called? Like the black hole or whatever it is that they do there. It's like anytime you have those, it's like beware. Like beware of what you're entering and make sure you don't get seats in that area. So awesome. Well, those were all the questions that I had. I would love for you anything else you want to share, add. Obviously, you know how this works already. I will add all the information into into the description of the episode. So if anybody's looking for it, it's very easy to find. But I didn't know if you wanted to end with anything, if there's anything that you just wanted to share, or anything that you wish I would have asked you that I didn't ask that you want to let people know. Yeah, no, you asked a lot of awesome questions tonight. I appreciate you taking the time out and doing this. No, listen, it's going to be a fun year again for Buffalo Bills fans. Bills Mafia, I promise you, this is another playoff year. Gear up, buckle up. It's the way it goes as a Bills fan, right? Enjoy the roller coaster ride. Yeah. By the way, too, I don't know if you heard today, but our GM finally kind of snapped. First time I ever heard our GM snap. He's usually very calm and cool, and that's his personality. And so he went on an interview, WGR's a radio show. And I guess he was on hold, like waiting to be, to be next. No. And they were talking to a Bills beat reporter, Sal, this guy Sal, I forget his last name. But anyways, and I guess he caught the tail end of it when they were talking about the receivers, because they really wanted, and a lot of Bills Mafia, including myself, thought the Bills should draft a speedy receiver somewhere in the 5th, 6th, the latest. And they didn't do that until the 7th. And it's probably, like I said, once again, it's probably going to be a practice squad guy. So they were kind of talking about how like they didn't, they haven't addressed that. So he came on. He was like, hey, I heard you guys you guys talking about the receivers, and I think it's bullshit. Like you guys in 2018, you wanted Josh Rosen, and and you're talking about these receivers, and and he just went off. Like he's like, we were 30 points. Yeah, he's like, we were first last year and scoring 30 points a game. Blah blah blah. He's like, and this isn't fantasy football. You can't just. I like when the guys that don't usually say anything like say something, because then it makes you go like, okay, well, you know what? Because I feel like, I don't know about you, but sometimes for my fandom, I'm like, do you guys have a plan? Did you guys think about this? Do you guys know what I know? And then when they come out and defend it, and you're like, Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you knew? Okay. That's fine.
Now they
All right.
did.
Like,
Now they did bring in a receiver that they talked to. Not sure if they'll sign him, but Elijah Moore,
okay.
who's not bad. He played for Cleveland last year. He initially with the Jets. Has speed, 4.3 guy, or 4.4 guy. We haven't signed him or anything, but he did come in for a visit. So interested to see if he's signed. If he is, expect a 1-year deal. Won't be anything too crazy. But no, I didn't mind him. But I will say this: he did open it up. He opened up the door now, because if things don't go right with that receiver room in 2025, people will look back at that, not meltdown, but people will go back and look at that audio or that interview and go, man, like, you were wrong, right?
Yeah.
Like you really fucking you
messed that one up, buddy.
Yeah. So hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully our team, continues to do what it did last year in the scoring department, and hopefully the additions that we did step up, and players like Keon Coleman can have a better sophomore year.
Yeah.
Though I didn't think his first year was terrible. He missed a month of football. No, I think after the injury, he just didn't come back as strong, and that's I understand it, but I also told everybody when we drafted him, and I said the Bills should draft him. So he was actually my pick for the Bills last year. I said, look, this is the kind of guy you're going to have to be patient with. Mm-hmm. He does need some work, but I think if he puts the work in, and it's up to the player, right? Because sometimes players just think they're too cocky, or they think they already have all the tools. They don't no need to sharpen them up. Like, if he puts that work in, sharpens his tools up, works at everything, he could be a good player in the NFL. And I feel like you kind of saw that glimpses of it last year, and he was getting better up until the injury. So that's a player to keep an eye on. Dalton Kincaid, we'll see how that goes. I had high expectations, and last year I did feel like he took a step back. So we'll see. But yeah, that's awesome. That's me. And then of course you guys can check me out at Mafia Sports Report for all the Buffalo Bills news.
Yes. And like I said before, I will leave all of Tommy's information in the description below. I will be honest. Before I talk to all of my guests and after we talk, I always go in people's stuff. And if you're live, I'll just listen to it in the background. And I try not to comment, because half the time I'm just a fan of football. I'm not really a fan of the team, but I love listening to how different people talk about football, because everybody kind of has their style. But there's not a lot of people that I feel like are honest consistently. I feel like some people are very honest, but then there's days where you're like, they can't mean what they just said on this day, because I just listened. You know what I mean? So I just appreciate your consistency of what you're saying. You're saying what you're saying. And if you got it wrong, you got it wrong. And if you got it right, you're like, see, this was kind of my thing. So I just love watching that kind of in the background and just seeing that. And then obviously I always tell you this, and I will always tell you this until I don't talk to you anymore. I appreciate everything you've done for me behind the scenes. And I appreciate, just you reaching back out to me and you letting me bother you every time I have a crazy idea to talk to fans. So,
no problem.
Thank you
no problem
for that. And
You're
then
welcome.
I'm sure we will speak soon, some way, shape, or form. And I will always cheer for you all to beat the Chiefs. So I'm just throwing that out there.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.